What's going on, everybody? We're live again. Just wanted to show you getting ready to pull these tri-tips. I'm actually doing a reverse sear on them right now. They came up to 125. So now they were on this side. Now they're over the coals. Let's see, give you a temp here. So now we're doing what's called a reverse sear. We're going to sear them at the end. Hope I don't burn my ThermoPro. I'm going to take them to about 135. And take them to about 135. Then I'm going to wrap them up in heavy duty aluminum foil and let them rest. Okay, if you see the grains here, it's kind of hard to see the grains. I'll show you that, but what I normally do is cut right about here, cut this in half, because you have grains running this way, and then I will start here and start trimming across this grain. See the grains here? So, but that's what we got going on. I'm just taking them up to temp now. I'm going to get him up to about 135. This guy's huge, so he's going to be a little bit, he's at 125 right now. And basically the flames are kicking up now because it's getting all this oxygen to it. When they start getting out of control, we just pull them off a little bit. Not a big deal. But I want to get that crust on there. And when they get going too much, we just pull them off and let the fire calm down. But smelling good. And you'll see how fast these will come up in temp. These are just jumping up there at 130 on this guy. Over here, you can see how easy that slides in there. See, that part's at 147, but that's probably because I'm right over the flame. But it doesn't take long to get these guys to jump up in temps. So that's all right. That little bit of crust on there is going to be perfect. So just getting a little bit of taking them up. This is what's called a reverse sear. Like I said, you cook indirect until you get to about 125, about 15 degrees away from your target temp, and then you sear them over the coals. So these are getting a little hot. I'm going to take them off. Just let that calm down a little bit. You see down in there, I got my smoker tube. It's filled with pellets, so we're getting some good smoke on these. So let's see what these are at. So I'm basically going to wrap these about 135. That's a good medium rare. 140 is a little bit medium, more medium. So this guy's he's big, so this guy's at 128. So basically I could put the lid back on and let these do their thing. Yeah, medium mom. Everybody in my house will not eat rare, so just you and Rachel are the only ones who eat blood red. So, but yeah, this one's really, you can kind of tell. You see a lot of old pitmasters, they'll do this, and basically what they're doing is they can tell just by the give and the resistance on that piece of meat where that piece of meat's at. And see how it doesn't give too much here? This guy's more done than this one is. But see how that one's got a little bit of jelly move to it? You see a lot of the old time guys, they don't even use temperature gauges or needles or anything like that to stick them. They can just go like that and tell. But this one's getting done. I like to get that little bit of char on there, that little bit of bark. It's not burnt by any means. And I'll show you. They will come up very, very fast once you put them over the direct coals. And the reverse sear is a great method for your steaks also. You know, it used to be that people would sear steaks in the beginning and then put them over the, back in the oven in a cast iron skillet. That's what most of your steak places will do. They'll they'll get them to a certain temperature in a cast iron skillet, and then throw them in the oven. So this is the opposite. You're gonna cook them indirect heat till they get within 15-20 degrees of where you want, and then you'll put them over the coals, and see you get this little bit of crust here. And that's not burnt. That's some of the fat cap that was on there, and that'll give it a great taste. You just gotta watch them, because see that little bit of fat right there. That's what'll give you some great smoky flavor. But this guy here is about done, and that's about it. It's like I said, you just let them go to get them to your temp that you want. This one's about ready to pull. I'm gonna pull it at about 135. And this one probably is a lot thicker, so I was getting there too. I was at 133, 132. So I just pull them off, let them calm down a little bit, and then we'll throw them right back on. Just take them to the temp you want. 135 is a good medium rare. 140 is a good medium, nice hot pink center. So I like mine about 130, and these are going to continue to cook. When you wrap them in foil and let them rest, they're gonna internal temp's going to go up a little bit too. So you got to keep that in mind too. So I would think I wouldn't go much past 140, because I think then you're drying out meat, you know, especially on these tri-tips, because they're pretty lean as far as internal fat. Most of your fat's out here on the outside. This had a huge fat cap on it. I trimmed it down to about 1/4 of an inch too. So that's another thing you gotta be careful about, because they will cook fast, because there's not much fat on the outside, cooling them down. So, but yeah, they're about done. You always want to stick the thickest part of the meat, because that's going to give you a true temp. So, and always use a good instant read thermometer, one that you trust. This is my ThermoPro. It's pretty fast. It's not like an instant read, but it is pretty quick. Couple seconds of a delay on it, but I trust it. It's a good thermometer. They make a good product. I will slice against the grain, and I will take a video of that, because that's the main thing with tri-tips. You see how your grain, I don't know if you can see it, grain's running this way. Okay, when you get to, trying to get out of that smoke, there's a spot right about here where the grain changes, and your grain's running this way now. So what I'll do is I'll trim right there, trim that whole piece in half, and then I'll start with this edge and just start slicing till I get through that piece, and then I'll take this side. You see how the grain's running that way, and start slicing this way on that. So your grain will run in a couple different directions on these, so you really have to pay attention to them. You see here, this one's a little better, easier to see, I think. See how your grain's running this way, okay? Then you get to here, and your grain's running this way. So you want to trim this one in half, right about there, right about where you see that edge, right at that corner. And then you'll start slicing this side, and then on this piece you'll start slicing this way. So you got to really keep an eye on those. Once you get to where you're used to trimming them and you're used to seeing them, see, like here, you get that crust on there, it's hard to see that grain. But you get this little bit of fat cap on here. Normally your grain will change right here. So, and what I'll do is I'll start trimming on this corner once I cut this in half, and then I'll cut this. You can see some grain right here as it runs that way. So they're tricky at first to read the grain, but a lot of times, what I tell people, until you get used to it, if you want, it's easier to see before you start cooking it. Take a toothpick and stick it the way the grain's running that way, and the way the grain's running this way. And then when you're done, you pull that toothpick out, you'll remember where where your grain was. So until you get used to being able to spot the grain, you see the grain really well here. Okay, right about here is where it stops, and it starts running this way. See it right there? So I would trim this one in half right about there, and then you start with this corner, start trimming against that grain that way. And then with this piece, you'll start with this one because you see the grain running this way now. So that's very important to get this. Like I said, if you don't trim this right, you're going to end up with a tough piece of meat that should really be tender. So trimming is the most important part, I believe, to a tri-tip. Make sure you always trim that piece against the grain. And like I said, most people don't see it, but the grain runs two separate ways. So I will do another video when I slice this and trim it. But here, like I said, you can see the grain running this way, and then look here, the grain's running this way. So you would trim that in half right there and start trimming it this way as you make your slices. But tri-tip I think is one of the best pieces of meat. You talk about the best sandwich you will ever have tomorrow, the day after. I like tri-tips better the day after than I do the first day. So there's a good, you can really see it there. See your grain running this way, and then up here your grain's running this way. So you know, there is, it's not really hard. And like I said, a lot of times if you're not sure, because once you get like this, it's hard to see that grain because you got a little bit of a crust on it. You can see the grain right there running. It takes a while to get used to it, but until then, you, like I said, take a toothpick and slide in the way that grain's running when it's raw, and and bury that toothpick. And then before you start cutting, find that toothpick, and it'll remind you which way that grain's running. So very important. Like I said, if you don't trim a tri-tip, you trim it with the grain, you're going to end up with a chewy, tough piece of meat that should be very tender. So, but that's about it. I got the tri-tips at Stater Brothers, Tim. Slicing is an art, but it's not rocket science. It just takes a little while to understand it. See, we're getting there with this one. And as I said before, this meat will continue to cook once I wrap it. So I'm gonna let it rest give it about a 20-minute rest, and then I'll take a video of slicing it. And a lot of people don't like rare meat. This is kind of like prime rib. You don't really want to overcook this meat to where your inside is totally gray like a well done steak. I tell a lot of people, if you don't like it with that pink center, or you don't like that red center, try to get an end piece, just like prime rib. Try and get a piece of the end cut. Ask whoever's cooking this tri-tip, ask them for an end cut. It's the same thing as prime rib. I don't like really bloody, fatty prime rib, but I do like the end cut. So it's the same concept. Overcooking a prime rib is horrible, and you wouldn't want to overcook a tri-tip. So tri-tip's a great piece of meat, and it's very tender and juicy if you slice it right and you cook it right. So I'm gonna pull this off. So thank you guys for watching. I'll post this to the page too if you want to look at it. Go to Stater's, dude. They were $4.99 a pound, so it wasn't bad. So I just wanted to show you guys the reverse sear method. As I said before, they were over here the whole time they were smoking. I took them to 125. I moved them over the coals to get this crust on it, to get this little bit of char on it, if you will. It's a reverse sear. Basically, you sear at the end to temp. So I'll stop about 125 and move them to the direct side to get that crust, and I'll take them to about 135, 140, somewhere in between there. 140 is a little bit over than what I like, but everybody here likes a little more done. So, but that's basically it. And then you just let it rest, let it do its thing. Put a slice of butter on it while it's resting in that foil. See, we're at 140 there, so I'm done. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and I will take this off. Have a good day.